Welcome to My Life. I'm John Oetjens, and I'm honored to have Mike Tyrrell with us from Lake Orion. Mike's been a resident of Lake Orion for nearly 50 years. Not only that, but he's retired from the auto parts business, Chrysler dealerships, and he's a past commander of our own American Legion Post 108, we're proud to say. Mike is currently a member of the Honor Guard over there. He's a Vietnam veteran. He was born in Pontiac. And you told me something about an election that was coming up that you're going to be involved in. Why don't you explain a little bit more about, should we vote for you or what? You weren't in any of these debates we've been seeing on television, were you?
No, I haven't been nominated yet, but every year, or every 2 years, actually it's every year we have an election, but you're able to run for 2 years. Mm-hmm. So the fellow that's been there for 2 years now is done, and it's kind of like the steps on a ladder. The second guy now should move up to the first guy's spot. So
he's been kind of like the vice president up until now?
Yep, he's been, we call it the senior vice commander.
Is that a big job, being commander of an American Legion
It's
post?
a lot bigger than, we have the VFW and the AMVETs and the ladies auxiliary and the Sons of the American Legion. We have all those groups there, but the American Legion is governing.
They're the one that kind of oversees everything.
They kind of oversee that.
Not only that, but you have all the various projects that these people undertake, don't you?
Yep, there's a lot of projects going on, and right at the moment we have a lady in there that has what she calls a beamer chair, and it has, I don't know if it's like magnetic waves or whatever, but you sit in this chair and people claim that it's cured their arthritis and all kinds of things. I don't.
Well, now that's a benefit I've never heard that the American Legion had. Maybe I should get over there and test it out and report back.
We got that going on every morning now. So she keeps asking me to get in that chair. I told her I don't have any problems, so I haven't got in the chair yet.
You know, one of the things that I think that a lot of people don't realize is the tremendous benefit that the American Legion is to veterans who need to access their benefits. It's kind of hard to figure out who to call and what to say and what to do and where to go, but there are people in the American Legion who can actually counsel veterans on that sort of thing, aren't there?
Yep, we have a service officer. It's can't remember his last name, but he's Dr. Joe.
Master Mateo.
No, it's not Master Mateo. He's Orion, Lake Orion branch, but he's really helpful, and like you say, you can't do that paperwork yourself. I tried it once and didn't work out. I had to get professional help to. It's
just important for our veterans to know that they should get in touch with the American Legion before they get involved with stuff like that.
I mean, like this Agent Orange thing, it's for real, you know. I've got a friend, like I mentioned before, has got Parkinson's disease. Spent a year in the jungle, and they sprayed the stuff on you, and then you filled your canteen out of a mud hole and put these little water purification tablets in there and drank the stuff too. So
and I want to talk more about that, but before we do, let's talk about your life in particular, Mike. Where were you born?
I was born in Pontiac, Michigan, St. Joe's, 1948.
Whereabouts did you live in Pontiac?
We lived over on a street called Whittemore Street. It's
one of the main streets in town, right?
Right by, it was Auburn Avenue was kind of like the main street around there.
Now, were your grandparents living in the area? Did you know your grandparents?
Grandparents, oh yeah, they were farmers in Iowa. We go out there quite often. But
on both sides they were out in Iowa?
Yeah, we're both out in Iowa, and my dad decided he'd come up here and work in the factories. So he left Iowa and came up here to work in the factory.
Did he work in the auto industry?
Oh yeah, Pontiac Motors.
Just like a lot of other people who came
Yeah.
in from other states, huh?
It actually worked out pretty good for him, but he also had his own towing business. He had 5 wreckers, so he was a pretty hard-working guy.
Yeah, sounds like he was an ambitious entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Did your mother work outside of the home?
She did. We had 9 kids, so they both had to work pretty much, and she scrubbed floors for people and did their ironing. She was at the ironing board every night just to keep us in that school, you know.
What school did you go to?
St. Frederick's. It's not there anymore. It became part of Pontiac Catholic.
So you were in the Catholic school system.
Oh yeah.
And where did where did you go to church every Sunday?
It was right next door, St. Vincent de Paul.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
My dad still goes there every 11 o'clock every Sunday, and any special event we go down there and join him. But
Now, where did you fall in the lineup of 9 kids?
I was right dead in the middle. I had older ones, 4 older ones, and 4 younger ones.
So you went to grade school at in a Catholic school in Pontiac. Were your classes very large? Do you remember?
No, they were small. It was one heck of a good education, if I do say so.
Back then, did they have nuns there
Yep,
teaching?
nuns still in the habits.
What order was it? Do you remember?
Meaner than hell.
What order was it? Do you remember?
They weren't that mean. It was Immaculate Heart of Mary.
From Monroe.
Yeah.
I used to play hockey with them because I'm from Monroe.
I'll be darned.
Back in their pond, yeah. I'm very familiar with them, and I'm sure you got a good education,
Yeah.
whether you wanted it or not.
Well, we decided, when I was 17, I decided I'd had enough school, so I didn't actually finish. I got my GED in the Army, and the test was incredibly easy, I thought, so they must have taught me something.
Where did you start going to high school at in Pontiac?
It was St. Fred's. They had all 12 grades in the
Oh,
school.
they did.
Yeah, 12 grades in the same school, same building.
What did you like to do for a good time back in those days? We're talking about the 1960s, right?
Yeah, it was cars then. All my buddies had 55 Chevys, 57 Chevys, and we had a 57. My dad gave me a 57 Ford, and cruising Woodward Avenue and them cars, you know, we thought we were pretty hot stuff.
We have to pause right now to take a break, but I want to talk more about that. We'll be right back with Mike Tyrrell. Back with Mike Tyrrell on My Life, talking about cruising Woodward back in the 60s, and did you say 57 Ford?
57 Ford.
Oh,
yeah.
what color was it?
I believe it was green and white. Didn't they have a stripe down the side?
Was that your very first car?
Yep, it was. And then I had a 56 Oldsmobile that my dad gave me. That was a heck of a good car too.
What do you remember most about cruising Woodward?
Ted's restaurant, and the 5x5s, the hamburgers they had there. They were called 5x5s for, I guess, the size of them. And of course, met my wife in the 5th grade, and
Did you?
yeah, we've been together, I guess it'll be 50 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that. One thing I always like to ask about, I forgot to ask you earlier, we're talking about your grandparents. Did you ever try to trace your ancestry back to see who the first ones were in this country?
No, my mother used to do something like that and provide us with a copy of it. But I think it was mostly on my dad's side of the family, and they were from Germany. I got that wrong.
Your grandparents were from Germany?
Yeah, on my dad's side. I'm not sure on my mom's side where they were from, but I knew both of them. My mother's dad died early. He was the true farmer. He was dealing with all the dust in them days. In fact, I've got a video of him with the horses pulling farm implement. My mother always took movie pictures of everything, and I've got one little clip of Grandpa with his horses out there.
And you mentioned that they lived in Iowa?
Iowa.
Did you go get back there regularly to visit them?
Yep, we went every year in the summertime. And then after I got back from Vietnam, my dad decided we should go down there pheasant hunting. So I've been pheasant hunting every year in Iowa since 1969, never missed a year.
So you still go back there?
Oh yeah.
Do you have a lot of relatives back there?
They're getting a lot fewer,
yeah,
but we still have a few relatives around.
Okay, you were talking about cruising up and down Woodward and stopping at Ted's. Those days were filled with a lot of happy memories, but there was a little bit of tenseness there too, because the Vietnam War was going strong. What was going through your mind about what was going to happen to you after high school?
It's odd, and I told my kids that yesterday, but I never gave Vietnam a thought when I joined the Army. It was just someplace, over there somewhere, and I never dreamed I'd go to Vietnam. Never crossed my mind.
What was kind of a situation where you really weren't sure of what you wanted to do, so that was an option, or?
We got in a little bit of trouble, in a senior in high school, and I wasn't liking school very much, so I asked my mom and dad. They had to write permission for me to join the Army. I was only 17 years old.
Right.
And my two friends, like I say, were going, and I'm going with you, Just
so it was a way to
didn't
get
give
out
it a
of
lot
town
of
for a
thought.
while.
Yeah, get out on your own.
But it wasn't just a matter of joining the Army. You joined the 101st Airborne.
Yep, the three of us did.
Sure, everybody goes through basic training, but not everybody joins Airborne.
It was quite intense for 3 weeks of training. You had to run every place you went. Every letter you got, you had to do push-ups. You even look at the sergeant wrong. He made you do knee bends, but it was all to build your muscles up, so when you landed, you use them muscles. So.
But you never did anything like jumping out of a plane before, did you?
No, I didn't.
Did you play any sports in high school?
I played football, basketball, but we had some rotten teams. It was Class D, and we didn't have very many participants.
Well, you went to a smaller school.
Yeah.
So tell me, where did you go for your training in the Army?
My two friends and I left for Fort Knox, Kentucky for the first 8 weeks. And then they were detained a little bit. They had a little trouble, so they had to clear that up. So I lost touch with them. But I went to the Fort Sill, Oklahoma for artillery training. And then that was another 8 weeks. And then you had to volunteer for the 101st Airborne, or airborne training. So we did that for 3 weeks. And then actually I went to the 82nd Airborne in North Carolina with my new wife, and I got to live off post. Once again, I had the world by the tail,
So in the midst of all that, you got married.
Yep. And just turned 18, and in December. We joined the Army in April, and in December got married.
So was the Army what you expected it to be?
It was, we were doing pretty good, you know. I made E5, which is a sergeant type rating, in 18 months or something like that. And I thought, heck, I'm doing pretty good, you know.
What were you thinking about as far as your future was concerned at that point?
Heck, I was volunteering to jump out of them airplanes that got you out of a work detail, so I'd volunteer to do it, and the wife would drive the 61 Chevy convertible out there to the drop zone, and we'd try to get as close as we could, come down and land as close as we could to that.
You're making this sound like it was almost fun.
It was fun. I had, like I say, I had the world by the tail then. But like I say, all of a sudden, they said, you're going to Vietnam in 9 days. And man, that changed things a lot, you know. I didn't know what to expect.
Was this a worry in your mind at all that this could happen?
Honestly, a few guys from the 82nd were leaving for there, and I thought, they'll never pick me, you know. So honestly, no, I didn't think about it much.
So once they said, you are going to Vietnam, what was going through your mind?
There's a lot of doubt. They sent me over their advanced party. The whole 101st was coming over, but I went a month early. And they put me in this cargo plane with a bunch of trucks and water trailers and very few guys, 1 or 2 guys.
Okay, we got to take a little break right now, but we're going to pick up on that in just a minute, okay?
All right.
Mike Tyrrell, come back. Welcome back. We're with Mike Tyrrell from Lake Orion. We're talking about some of your first experiences going to Vietnam. Why don't you pick up on your trip over there?
Like I was saying, we went in a great big transport plane. It was a jet. It was filled with equipment and very few people. But when we landed, I had my flak vest on, my helmet on, my rifle loaded, and didn't know what to expect. They put that tailgate down in that airplane. And just like the movies, there's a guy there. It was a real secure area, Tonsonhood Air Force Base. And there was a guy there in a short sleeve shirt. Everybody was walking around in short sleeve shirts. Nobody had their weapon with them or anything like that. So I was pretty happy to see that.
Now, did your wife move back home during this time, or did
She moved here to Oxford, got a little place on Drainer Road. And yeah, she moved up to Oxford.
And did you have any children at this point?
She was pregnant when I left, and we were waiting for, you know, to hear about the baby coming, or I was waiting to hear about the baby coming, but kind of got in a little bit of trouble over that. I was trying to get the guy the battalion clerk to call home to see what was going on. He wasn't doing it fast enough, so I was trying to persuade him and got in trouble and lost a stripe over that. But yeah, she was born in May. Lisa Tyrrell, Lisa.
And what month did you go over to Vietnam?
November, last of October, beginning of November.
That must have been kind of tough.
It was tough.
Yeah. Okay, so you get to Vietnam, you get off the cargo plane. Did this place look like you thought it was going to look?
No, it would look like a big city, big, there was bunkers everywhere, sandbag bunkers. In fact, the first month that I spent there, I filled sandbags to build this great big bunker. And I was just part of a team that did that. And I thought that was BS, because E5s aren't supposed to do that kind of work, you know.
Well,
So,
not just E5s, but you were in the airborne.
yeah. Yeah, we built a big old bunker. That, like I say, that was way down south. It was real secure. And then the rest of the group, rest of the 101st got there, and they decided we'd go up, way up north to a city named Hue. So we went up there, and everything got a little worse there. And I don't know, we had, I was still in a secure area. I was in headquarters company, and everybody else was on the perimeter guarding us, you know, so.
So at that point, what were they telling you that your job was going to be?
Well, I was plotting targets for that artillery piece. They'd call in the coordinates, and they'd have a series of guys plotting the target and giving the corrections to the gun, the distance and the direction to the guns.
So you weren't jumping out of planes at that point.
Oh, I never jumped in Vietnam.
You never did?
No, the 101st didn't jump in Vietnam.
Was that disappointing to you after going through that training?
No, they flew you in on helicopters, and that's an exciting time by itself. You didn't know exactly what was on the ground, and the gunships were flying around shooting all the time, so there was a lot of noise and grass flying up. You really didn't know what you were going into.
How long were you over there?
I was there 13 months. I stayed an extra month, and they let me out of the Army 5 months early. If you had 5 months or less, they'd let you out. So,
What was the most surprising thing about Vietnam for you?
just the fact that somebody was trying to kill you. I mean, Jesus, Jenny, we went to a place called the Ashaw Valley, and we were on a mountain up above the valley, and these guys would push a artillery piece out of a cave, fire it at you, and man, you better get in a hole or get somewhere when you heard that shot in the distance. But that was for real stuff up there. They killed my radio operator up there, the guy that carried my radio. He grabbed the radio and was running up the hill there, and a major was going with him, and the round hit him in the head and hit the major in the jaw. And that was the absolute worst thing that happened to me.
Gives you a new sense of reality, doesn't
Oh
it?
man, he didn't die immediately. They medevaced him out of there, but that was the last time I saw him. Charlie Perkins Jr. Yep, he was.
You probably didn't have a lot of opportunity to have a good time, but when you did, what did you do over there?
There was. I was newly married, and they gave you an R&R where they'd send you to anywhere you wanted to go. Not anywhere, but you had like 5 choices. And I was just freshly married, and I thought, man, I'd get in some kind of trouble if I go on that R&R, so I never went. And so they sent me down to the South China beach on the South China Sea for 3 days, I think. And all we did, to be quite honest with you, was drank for 3 days. You were able to drink in the military for some reason. Everything was all right, you know.
With the pressure off.
Yeah.
So as you got closer to time to come home, what was going through your mind?
Well, then I was getting pretty hardened about the whole thing. I was out in the boonies for the last 6 months, walking around with the infantry and calling artillery in. And what a difference on that end of the gun. It's just incredibly different. Back in the back, you're pretty secure. Out there, you're walking around not knowing what's going to happen next. And I seen guys step on booby traps and blow their legs off. I hung around with the medic, and I used to try to help them in a situation like that, but it wasn't a lot of fun, the last part. I was happy to get out of there.
I'll bet you were. Was it hard moving on with your life after going through all that?
I'll tell you, I got home around Thanksgiving time, and my wife and I were driving, and it was snowing, and the slush went across the windshield, and I dove in the floor. Dove in the floor of the car. It just seemed like machine gun fire or something. Just scared the hell out of me, but that was the only time I did something like that, so.
Okay, now you have how many children?
I have 3.
And 2 of them live around here, I believe, right?
Yep, 2 of them are here, and my oldest daughter decided she'd go to Colorado for some reason, so she's in Colorado.
And
I miss her a lot. I wish she'd come back.
It's tough, huh?
Yeah.
And you're still married to the same woman? And
It'll be 50 years this year.
Wow.
50 years. I didn't think I'd do anything for 50 years, but
If you had to do anything over again, would you do it differently?
as far as marrying Mary and having the kids, no. But I don't. My dad says if he knew now about Vietnam, he'd have sent me to Canada, and then I don't think I'd have went. I think I still would have went in the military. And
That's a whole nother subject, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that you were willing to come on this program with us. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for your service. And we really appreciate what you've done.
You bet.
Thanks for joining us.
Canine Stray Rescue is Oxford's own local dog rescue. Each year they take in hundreds of dogs and bring them into suitable homes. A certified nonprofit organization, Canine Dog Rescue strives to give pound dogs a new leash on life. To donate, adopt, or even volunteer, call them at 248-628-0435 or go to their website, dogsaver.org, and click on the Canine Stray Rescue League link.